let's talk about the W real quick.
Let's
Obviously, this was
W.
draft week. Draft night was on Monday, and there was a particular school that made a little bit of a buzz. Let's hear what Dawn Staley had to say about that.
Yo, Gamecock fans. Not one, not two, not three, not four, but five. Where they do that at? Where they do that at? Where they do that at? You know where they do that at. South Carolina Gamecocks. Let's go, baby. And guess what? They gonna keep coming and coming and coming and coming. Let's go celebrate.
I love that energy. Not one, not two. Oh, I mean, literally, Dawn Staley. Right, you got to do it. I mean, she's got 10 first-round picks since 2016. 10. 2 number ones. There's one right there, Aaliyah Boston. And I truly believe she is becoming the new women's basketball factory. You think about what's been going on for the last 10, 20 years of basketball? UConn, right? UConn had two players drafted in, I think, one player in the first round, 2 in the first, second rounds. Dawn Staley's like, UConn what? I'm sorry? No. It's South Carolina. And I absolutely love this kind of new shift in women's basketball.
I absolutely love it. I think we now need to start calling it the house that Dawn Staley built in South Carolina. I mean, like you said, she did. I love that she spoke on the greatness. I love that we got to see a little bit of the Philly girl come out. She talked about it. 5 draft picks, 3 in the first round. I mean, South Carolina really has become that powerhouse program thanks to her. And let's remember, I mean, Dawn is doing this on her own, and it's why she's even gotten looks from Temple University. Most recently, her name was whispered for that men's head coaching job before it was filled previously as well, speaking with the NBA's Portland Trail Blazers. So all this to say, I think Dawn Staley, and I thought it was so beautiful too, not just what she's been able to do with the players on the court, but off the court. Everyone's talking about the trust that they have in her, the trust that they have in this program. It's okay if I have to come off the bench in South Carolina because I trust what Coach Staley has planned for me. And I think that's so powerful and so important. And you saw her true joy, Zena, yesterday when the players were getting drafted, the hugs and the whispering and Pop's ear. I just thought it was so great. But I think this is good for women's basketball because let's be honest, I mean, going undefeated in the regular season this year had so many eyes on it. So many people, unfortunately, also wanted them to lose obviously in the NCAA tournament because nobody likes a team that goes undefeated, right? So I think what she's doing is
villains.
So... Right. They've become almost like that team that obviously everybody wants to beat. And already, I mean, with the way the transfer portal is going, you have to think that South Carolina's name will be in there. Because if I'm a top basketball player or top recruit, why would I not want to play for Coach Staley with what she's built, Zena?
It's insane how much trust, like you mentioned, the players have in her in the program. And yet the players around the country all know. Yet the coaches around the country have yet to put respect on her just yet. But you know what? The W draft will continue to happen and she will continue to create first round draft picks. And she'll also continue to bring out some baddies, okay? These girls looked good on Monday night.
They were serving looks.
Serving. And the thing about it is there has been such an elevation and an evolution of the look of what the WNBA draft should look like, right? I absolutely love, there was a clip going around, Nafisa Collier, Dearica Hamby, they all looked at their old draft pick outfits and they're like, what should I have changed or what should I have done? And I feel like this generation, they're so in tune with their style. And I think it definitely comes down to the fact that they have social media, right? And they're always working on the way that they appear beyond the court, right? So they're looking good on and off. It's not just lashes on and makeup full beat faces on the court. They're looking amazing. I mean, Sia Cook,
that was my favorite outfit of the night. My by far favorite outfit of it. I mean, she just looked so flawless, so elegant, and it was so effortless. She did the black dress and the crystals. She looked absolutely stunning. Bill also here, she looked absolutely amazing in the power suit. I also love Diamond Miller's power suit. I mean, these girls came and they served and they ate and left absolutely no crumbs. I mean, this was the red carpet, the orange carpet, we should say, that you wanted.
Orange carpet, exactly. And like you mentioned, Diamond Miller's suit was fire. I loved Alexis Morgan's look. It was so clean for me. I just loved, I think that when you think about the draft, right? all the guys on the men's side, all the guys wearing the suits and they've got all these custom fittings. It's always interesting with the women's side of like, you want to wear a suit. It's a business event, technically, right? You're getting a new job. But you also want to bring the femininity if you want that aspect to it. Or you also want to bring your creativity. I'm remembering Destiny Henderson's outfit last year, that teal fitted suit. My favorite draft outfit by far. She was clean. And I appreciate that these young women are really leaning into their look and their feel rather than trying to just go by, there it is. Fire with the shoes. I mean, everything about it. It was effortless. But clearly there was a lot of thought put into it. But I just love that these women are appreciating, I have personality, I have style that shows up. Oh, Shakira Austin also looked fire. But this is exciting that there's this new evolution with the way that they're looking. Now, on the other hand, evolution for the W draft overall. Now, I know both of us watched portions of it, and Twitter had a lot to say. Say about the way. Twitter had a lot of energy for the W draft, and I can see what they're talking about, right? The draft, the thing about it is all of these events are always going to be compared to the men's side. It's a natural thing that happens. It's like, what's the men's side look like versus the women's side? And there are some things that are clearly missing from the women's side in comparison to the men's side. One of them being the fans, right? There's always, the venue's always a lot smaller, and it's a lot more limited in terms of that support that is in the back room. So it's not just Dawn Staley, but it's usually always fans as well that are excited for their team to receive the newest talent. So that's missing. Then there's this whole walk around where, there's supposed to be kind of like almost a comedic portion to the event. And I haven't minded it. I think this year was like particularly noticeable that like wasn't necessary, mainly because the level of talent to this year transitioned so well from March Madness to now that people wanted to see highlights. Right? People wanted to see those women catered up to as far as like what they're going to bring to their different teams. And that almost seemed like a distraction as opposed to an addition. But man, like I do think that there's a way that the W program could elevate to be to the caliber of what the men's side get in terms of creating that fan-centric experience and having a space where we're really highlighting the women. There were 42% up in viewership this year. Amazing. That means people were paying attention, right? Right. So you want to give them what they want. That's what I thought.
No, I think you say it so well. And I think the numbers never lie, right? I mean, you see it. Everybody was watching this. The second most viewed WNBA draft, folks. The last time we saw this, it was a while ago. You think about that. But all that to say, I mean, like you said, there was so much excitement from the women's game this year, which is exactly what you want. And I think we always have to think about the fan experience. Like right now, I have so many fans hitting me up right now, Zena, talking about, I can't wait to go to Kansas City to watch the NFL draft. And like you said, we see what the NBA draft is. You want the fans, you want the venues there. There's a reason why Iowa has 6,700 people waiting to get season tickets now. How do we get those fans? We have to make the WNBA draft the most sexiest, converted thing for people to be part of. And I think you're right with it. As someone who hosts events, I usually stay away from jokes, Zena. I just do, because you never know how to go. You have to be very careful. And obviously, I know Twitter melts away. They don't always land. They do not always land. And anybody that's been to a live event, you know that. And WNBA Twitter will especially let you know. And you especially never want to make it awkward for players and their families, because the moment's about them. And step number one of being a journalist is that you're supposed to tell the story, right? We're not supposed to be part of the story. And I think we saw some of that happen in the WNBA draft. But like you said, I mean, let's give it to the ladies. Now is such an exciting time for the WNBA. We know they're kicking off, obviously, in May. But we want these storylines to continue from March Madness. We're going to talk about the UConns of the world and South Carolina and how these players will fare. Because let's remember too, the WNBA is so interesting because even if you get drafted, you still have to earn that roster spot. It's very competitive for all of these ladies that get drafted. We want to follow them, to see where they will be and just continuing their stories. So I'd like to say, first off, shout out to everybody that did watch the WNBA draft. We applaud you. And let's continue this on. I mean, now we want to get these fans, though, to watching the actual games. I want these viewership numbers to continue to rise for women, Zena, because now is a time, that everybody's finally realizing basketball is really good. It is really important. And now is better than later to hop on the bandwagon.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you for catching up. Like, it's fine. You're welcome. Come on in. Come on in.
You're a little bit late,
You're
but
welcome.
welcome.
It's okay. It's okay. And I think you make such a great point about that transition and getting the fans to transition with the players, because there is so much hype in women's college basketball. There's so much following in women's college basketball. But the same way that Iowa right now cannot fulfill their season ticket requests, the Indiana teams need to be able to do that. The Chicago Sky need to be able to do that. The Connecticut Sun need to be able to do that. Everyone needs to be out of the ability to fulfill season tickets because they're so excited for this new draft pick to come in. And the thing about the W is that every single year that a new player comes in, they're always like the best player, right? Like sometimes on the NBA side, it's not always the case that they become the stars of their team. But that is the truth on the WNBA side, where you're always seeing the next crop of players are the attraction. They are the ones providing the entertainment because they are scoring out of this world. They're defending out of this world, blocking out of this world. So there should be a clear-cut line to, oh, I followed this player in college. I should want to follow her to the WNBA, but yet there's this disconnect. And that is what I think the W Draft could be a way to, bridge that gap and making sure that there are more highlights of these players from their college days and making sure that fans from these W teams and the college teams around them, right, can come in. I think that, I think it was Indiana that did a really great job with Aaliyah's video. So welcome her in, right? That sort of stuff and that sort of media play is exactly what fans need to connect the dots. When there's not enough WNBA teams around the country. I've never lived in a city where there was a WNBA team. So I've had to go see the Connecticut Sun or the New York Liberty. But when there's a lack of teams, you do need to do more to connect that community online, right? Or in these virtual settings like a W Draft. So I think that's a very important thing. On the other note you mentioned regarding the journey, a lot of people don't realize that just because they made the draft and they were drafted means they have a spot. They now have to go try out.
It's just beginning in the WNBA. I mean, look at the Indiana Fever. You talked about them, Zena. I mean, it's so huge for them to get a #1 pick. And now it's going to be, well, what's going to happen from it? How will this add to that team? And I think that's where the WNBA is a bit different, right, from other leagues, as we're kind of talking about. But I think it's that story that we're buying into. I mean, these players, their journey, that's how you connect fans to them. That's how you fill seats. And overall, that's how you continue to create a better product. Speaking of a better product, we have to shout out the WNBA, Zena, because right now we see we've expanded to a 40-game schedule in the WNBA, and charter flights about to get flown out, ladies. Now back to that game, you got charter flights, which is so amazing. For the postseason, the commissioners. This has been something that we've been talking about for a long time. But Zena, I'd argue that that's probably long overdue, but just glad it's better here and better late than never.
Yeah, 1000%. These ladies needed that. I mean, flying commercial as a pro athlete is crazy. It's just crazy. You're late, you're staying in airports. As an average person, sleeping in airports, and you're supposed to be playing a professional basketball game. I mean, it was insane. So this is long overdue, but this is wonderful. I'm loving to see what Kathleen Engelbert is doing as a commissioner, what the CBAs are doing. I mean, they're going to continue to push forward. I do have a question for you, because I thought that this was interesting. In thinking about what's better, an expansion team or more roster spots? Ooh. I know Candace Parker said more roster spots, and I actually agree with her, because that's the whole thing, right? There's 144 roster spots, and that is why you can be drafted to a team and still not make it, because a training camp team or roster can be up to 20, but your actual roster by the end in time for season to start can only go up to 12. So that's 8 people that now have to get cut from training camp, which could include draft picks, right? Which is insane. But what do you think before we go to break?
I think I'm gonna have to agree with Candace. And I'm someone that grew up with the Washington Mystics. I'm from the DC area. I grew up watching them. So I've always been privileged, right, to have a WNBA team in my backyard. And I watched them, since I was yay high. But I think the roster spots point is very important. What you have 12 players right now on that roster, but expanding it, I think it'd just be very fruitful for the WNBA. And yes, I know expansion is part of the process of growing a league, but it's also very important that you pick the right places for those expansion teams. So to me, I'd rather the WNBA not rush it. They have a great product right now. Add those extra roster spots to these teams that have already obviously identified themselves. They've built backgrounds, they've built fan bases. I'm telling you, I mean, WNBA arenas are going to be packed, and give more of these females an opportunity, because what we're seeing right now happen, Zena, is that these girls are like, why should I rush out of college to go to the WNBA when my spot isn't guaranteed? Maybe I don't want to play overseas. You know, playing overseas is a big commitment to make, right? You're away from your family, your friends, might have to learn a new language. I mean, make all new friends, a brand new culture. And that is for some people, but, you know, we've also saw the negative side of it, you know, i.e. the Brittany Griner story, you know, that I'm hoping we get a chance to talk about later. But all that to say, I think, you know, give the girls more spots. There's too much talent for the WNBA to not have more of these players in these great squads. As much as I want expansion cities, and I know it will happen, I think we have to expand what we currently have, because the product is great right now.
Agreed. And it's on a rise. It's on a rise. So I'm very happy that we got a chance to talk about our WNBA girlies.
Our W girls.
Our W girls, our next generation. But we got some men's basketball to talk about too. All right. So we'll talk about that when we get back from break. Stay tuned with us.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.